So yesterday we had major breaking news. There was a court hearing. The attorney for the village of Dolton had indicated that the supermayor was violating a temporary restraining order, which she was. The judge admonished her. But what came up was there's a phone call with WGN, who covers the village of Dolton and township of Thornton very extensively. And conversation with Bert Odelson, and that's what we're going to listen to. He indicates that I think it's NBC. I think NBC is going to do a made-for-television series on the Supermayor. The drama. It's enough for TV executives to be sitting around a big table and go, yeah, people will watch this. And people do watch this. The drama. Let's listen to that super quick clip. Here we go.
It's the weekly Dolton report.
Yes.
You need a regular spot for me on your program, the weekly Dolton report.
Pretty much. Let's just make it every Monday at 2:17, because that's it. John Williams laughs. He's like, you ought to give Bert his own show, because this is like a made-for-TV movie, Bert.
Well, there's a major network who's been following this. And the reporter who's been following it told me that they are close to completion to have a series. You would call it a reality series, but it's going to be a Dolton series. It's going to be on TV.
Oh my gosh! For most, they would call it a nightmare.
Correct. It is a nightmare. It's a municipal nightmare for the poor people in Dolton.
Right.
Really
right. And they're watching closely, which is evident by the fact that 150 people tuned into the Zoom today to see her appear before the judge.
Yes, that's correct. And
what about you? Are you getting paid? Are you getting paid?
No.
All right. So there's a bunch more to unpack, and we're going to do that. But let's talk about, and we're going to listen to some more of this conversation. Bert Odelson represents Village of Dolton. I have watched interview after interview after interview of that guy, and I have no reason to not believe him on whatever he says. He just seems like he's kind of one of those, all right, here it is. This is what's going on. This is terrible. That's not really working. So when he says, hey, he probably had a phone call. I think it's NBC. I think it's NBC. I don't know why I say that, but when I first heard this, I was immediately, that's gotta be NBC. ABC? Maybe. CBS? Fox hasn't, you've got Dane Placo with Fox. Maybe it's Dane Placo. Maybe it's Fox. I don't know. But, my heart is in NBC. I can see the drama there being kind of one of those deals where, look at this, look what's going on. This is insane. And we've been following this drama, and we know it's insane. So we know that this is a legit story. So I haven't confirmed that information anywhere else on the internet. I'm just bringing it to you. It is what it is. Whether or not an actual made-for-TV series will come out, man, I hope it does. I hope it does. I got to thinking, so I was thinking this morning when I was getting ready for this, I was like, who's going to play Tiffany Henyard? Who's going to play Stan Brown? Who's going to play Jason House? Who's going to play Tiff's boyfriend? We've got all these we've got legit characters in there. Is Wesley Snipes going to make a cameo appearance in the Supermayor's movie? I don't know. All right. So that's the major breaking news. If you want to dip out now, that's fine. But what I'm going to do is, prior to Bert Odelson breaking this major news for us, he kind of went down. He gave a summary of where we sit in the overall process with Village of Dolton. And there's some nuggets in here. So you want to listen to this. I'm going to start this. It's a 6-minute interview. It's a fascinating interview. Every time I hear something from Bert Odelson, I always think, that's good info. All right. And, tune into it because it's the real source. This is the source that reporters are calling and saying, yo, Bert, what's going on? And Bert lays it out. Let's listen to this.
Involved in many different scenarios throughout Chicagoland, but this one I would say takes the cake. He represents the Dolton trustees. I mean, wouldn't you say in your career, Bert, this is something maybe you haven't seen before?
Yeah, Lisa, I joke, only half joke. I've testified in federal court twice against two mayors who both went to jail. So I've seen a lot, and I've been through the city council for 50 years. I have never, ever seen anything like this that's going on in Dolton. It has gone on for 3 years and is continuously going on, where we have to go to court almost every day to fight what's happening to try.
Go to court almost every day. So there are many instances where we're not covering that. We hear it on the tail end of what happened, but there are so many things being lodged in court just to keep the village of Dolton operating, just to keep it kind of moving forward. There's so much that the Supermayor, Tiff, dictator of Dolton, is basically bungling the municipality operations.
To keep them stable, which is almost impossible to do, quite frankly. We were in court again today.
It centers around Dolton's mayor, Tiffany Henyard. Why were you in court today?
Today because last week the court entered a temporary restraining order against her for making appointments illegally. She appointed a police chief, a village attorney, and a village administrator illegally without going to the board, which the law says you have to do. The judge ruled that you have to proceed according to law, that the appointees were not good. She appealed it to the appellate court, and yesterday the appellate court denied her appeal. So today we were on with the Judge Wilson, because we filed a petition to have her held in contempt of court for still locking out the village administrator. The judge did not grant.
So what happened is the Supermayor went to a vendor who had control over some of the software access for Jason House, who is the village administrator. Jason House was at one time a Tiffany Henyard ally, but he has since cooperated with the village and probably cooperated with the FBI investigation. So recently, this week, Tiff basically had Jason House locked out of village systems to do his job.
The contempt against her, but he warned her, and she was on he warned all parties, you better listen to my order or you're going to be held in contempt. He continued the temporary restraining order in effect, so she can't.
So there's an injunction, and then as a result of that, you've got a temporary restraining order.
Make legal appointments and continue the case to November 7th.
Was she in court today when you were in court?
Yeah, on Zoom. I saw her on Zoom.
Okay.
Yes.
She doesn't like you very much, does she,
November
Bert?
7th. What, she what?
She doesn't like you very much, does she?
What?
Well, it's on the agenda every 2 weeks to fire me, so I would say no. She doesn't have to. I don't care if she likes me. That's just a problem of the law. That's all. Yeah.
Every time we talk to you, people in Dolton and people in Thornton Township and people around Chicagoland say, how long is this going to go on? She is in office until April, but she's got something written in that doesn't make the job appealing to anyone else.
No, it's very difficult. And the next person who will be mayor there is going to have a lot to dig out from because of the massive amount of debt that she has caused the village. We're over $5 million in the hole, and we were $5 million above the black line before she took office. So we've had almost no
$10 million swing. $10 million swing. Ooh, Lucy, you got some explaining to do.
$11 million swing in 3 years. It's depressing, really. And I'll tell you, Lisa, on the Zoom call, you usually have 10 or 15, lawyers or people. There were 150 people on the Zoom call today to watch from Dolton.
Oh my
I need to work out. If somebody knows where that Zoom call is, that link is, let me know. I haven't done my research. I was trying to find where that link was, but then I got stuck with all this other stuff, and there's so many different little bits and pieces. But that Zoom call, this case has been continued to November 7th. That is my birthday. I think we live stream that. On my birthday if that's still a thing.
Gosh. And are these just constituents? These are residents, people that, okay.
Yes, just it's amazing.
She can't be fired. She's not being removed before April, but her hands have been somewhat tied to stop these crazy expenditures, right?
Yes. The board has taken a number of different means to stop her from having access to the funds. The credit cards have been taken away, and bills are now being paid because a week ago, a different court entered a preliminary injunction against her, saying if she won't sign the checks, then the mayor pro tem, Trustee House, can sign the checks. So we haven't taken power away. We just have gotten the authority to do the regular business of the village, whether she does it or not.
And are all the trustees now standing firmly against her, or does she still have a few on her side?
The four have always stood against her. A fifth has now participated with the other four. So I would say there are 5 out of the 6, and the 6th will never come over.
All right, let's look at what that looks like. Here is Jason House. I think he's a U.S. Bank loan officer or in some capacity there. You've got Brittany Norwood. She's on the village's side. You've got Kiana Belcher on the village side. Stan Brown. This is the individual that just basically, when he walked in at a meeting, I think 2 weeks ago, people were like, whoa. Because it was a meeting that Tiffany Henyard boycotted, and that indicated Stan Brown. That makes 5 out of the 6 who are now no longer on the Supermayor side. They are on the village's side. And Stan Brown, I think, has been influenced to, hey, you might not want to stand with the Supermayor because she's going down with the ship. So, choose your sides carefully here. We've got Tammy Brown. She has consistently been opposed the Supermayor. And then the one outstanding ally that Mayor Tiffany Henyard, has is Uncle Drew. Uncle Drew, he's the one that has been accused of sexually assaulting one of the, I think, village employees in the what happened in Vegas stays in Vegas until it comes back to Dolton trip. Yeah, so he is the one remaining ally that Tiffany Henyard has on the board. All right, let's get back and finish out here.
So and it's pretty strong.
The federal investigation continues.
Yes, it does. That is for sure. Yes, and it's the weekly Dolton report.
Yes.
You need a regular spot for me on your program. The weekly Dolton report.
Pretty much. Let's just make it every
WGN. I would tune into that. Once a week, give us a Friday wrap up of the week's shenanigans that are happening in Dolton, that are happening in Thornton, whatever it might be, and have Bert on there and explain it from a legal standpoint. That would be awesome.
Monday at 2:17, because that's it. John Williams laughs. He's like, you ought to give Bert his own show, because this is like a made for TV movie, Bert.
Well, there's a major network who's been following this, and the reporter who's been following it told me that they are close to completion to have a series. You would call it a reality series, but it's going to be a Dolton series. It's going to be on TV.
Oh my gosh! For most, they would call it a nightmare.
Correct. It is a nightmare. It's a municipal nightmare for the poor people in Dolton.
Right. Really right. And they're watching closely, which is evident by the fact that 150 people tuned into the Zoom today to see her appear before the judge.
Yeah, that's correct.
What about you? Are you getting paid? Are you getting paid?
No. I mean, the insurance company for some of the lawsuits is paying us, because there were only over 40 lawsuits filed in the last 3 years. So we are handling
40 lawsuits. Last time I had heard, it was 30 lawsuits. Now, I know that the insurance company was paying, but they were capping out, I think, at $10 million. And money to be paid out to all these folks, because some of these lawsuits, one of the lawsuits was a payout of, I think, $32 million. So as you've got the insurance company is paying out the attorney's bills, money is being allocated to people who won it in court from the village, because the village effed up with Tiffany Henyard, and in court they're able to prove, hey, you owe us money. Here's the payout. So you've got this insurance company who is allocating money, but it's slim, is my understanding, as to what's being paid out. And the whole thing is just, it's a running debacle, right?
The litigation now. So some of the litigation we're getting paid for, but she has blocked us from being paid, except for one payment in 3 years.
Well, we will be following this story.
And Lisa, I mean, if she's listening, we're not going away. We're seeing this through for the people of Dolton.
Personal message for the mayor of Tiffany Henyard from attorney 𝗪𝗏𝗧𝗛. Bert, thank you so much for your work, and thanks for the update.
Thanks, Lisa. Have a good day.
We're not going away. We're going to see this through to the end, because they've got the case. They've got the case. And everybody knows it. What is so interesting to me is how Tiffany has all of these followers, and a lot of them are elderly, and they just like the fact that Tiffany Henyard has given them some stuff. And they're not willing to look at the overall picture, which is the Supermayor has basically run the village into the ground. $10 million swing, if that's not running into the village, into the ground, I don't know what is. But this is just some wild stuff. And like 𝗪𝗏𝗧𝗛 said, a lot of us follow this case. I'm here in Seattle. A lot of you follow it from all points. All over the world, people are following this. The real tough issue is that this is a village where people are having their lives impacted because of the Supermayor and her actions. And that sucks. That sucks. All right. That's it for me. Thanks so much for being here. I'll catch up with you in the next one. Bye for now.